Welcome to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. This is where you're going to discover how to bring awakening into the body and into everyday life through powerful tantric teachings. Get ready to release, open and step into your true power. Now, when there is a trigger or even a physical symptom, so, over lunch, something came up and I've had these weird bruises show up on my arm and bites, this huge pain here that went down to my wrist. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I grew up with the understanding that nothing is ever physical, right? So we all know from the training, we've got therapists, they take care of the mind, they let you say the story. It's like, it's a great avenue for some people. Just talk therapy, that's what they need, right? Then we have a doctor that you go to who looks at the symptoms and says, oh, okay, this looks like this bite, that bite, I'll give you antibiotic cream. Now, it's the layers underneath physical symptoms that is the root cause. It is the layers underneath the immediate reaction that is the root cause. So there was a few things going on, and what I got triggered by actually just sparked up all the itches and the pain in my body so much. And then I'm just like holding that, and it went back to where's Ben? Thank you for the non-session that we had before that was incomplete, because I completed it. So, yeah, I'm like, okay, if I breathe deeper than the rage, right? So you all know that rage is my most comfortable emotion. Know your most comfortable emotion. Know your client's most comfortable emotion, because that's where they're going to want to stay. And I always want to stay mad, right? It's so much easier. And and I'm mad that I've got these bites. And so, I'm feeling mad. And I'm like, all right, come on. Practice what you preach. Drop it down. Drop it down. And then just like feeling the pain and actually just crying in pain. And then just feeling Jaleb in my arms as a baby. And feeling how often I had to just give in to Scott when I didn't want to. And go to work. And there's so much fucking pain of having to be strong and fucking be this fucking strong man in a woman's body. I'm so tired of it. There's this deep well inside of me that's just like what I shared the other day. It was just like, come on. And then, I actually, part of my work is to let myself collapse, because it's hard for me to collapse. I just collapsed. And I just imagined holding him in my arms and that I could. And just like, whenever there's an emotion, the only reason that there's this fear in practitioners of re-traumatizing is because they don't understand the power of the body, the wisdom of the body, and the power of integration. So I've got lots of things downloading, so be patient with me. So when I was diving into somatic therapy, right, the 4 main founders of somatic therapy, and I met Peter Levine, who's fucking amazing, they've all been intensely traumatized. And they've all needed a very slow approach to activation. So they teach a very slow approach. Now, in 7 years of studying trauma therapy, somatic therapy, and receiving sessions, not all at once, but at different times in my life and condensed times, not once did I remember my sexual abuse. Because this slow approach actually isn't trusting the wildness of the body, that it's only going to go where it needs to go. Now, that doesn't mean when it's going and there's dissociation. I mean when you're actually in the body, right? And I'm going to talk more about that. But when you're in the body and you're really allowing, and there's nothing coming in, nothing being suggestive, the body will naturally unwind, which takes me back to my process. So I'm there and I'm holding him. Now, if I was a practitioner, I could be thinking to myself, because I kind of become my own practitioner when I'm in a deep process. And part of my mind went, you're going to be here for a long time because you really just want to hold your baby. I'm like, fuck off, my body knows, right? Nor the mind. And then eventually what came that I'd completely forgotten about was Ben saying, do you trust Carly with Jaleb? I didn't really know what he meant at the time, but then I'm like, trusting Carly means trusting that it's okay if he experiences pain, that I can trust the chaos, I can trust the death of his ego. And so, like, I'm sitting on the bed and it took me fucking ages, but I had to just pass him to Scott. And this time, pass him without the wish that I wasn't passing him with a trust, even though Scott doesn't do things the way that I do, that maybe that's what Jaleb's soul called in. And it was so funny when I came out of the session, Jaleb said, I'm all better, Mum. He's been really sick since I've been gone. Well, he wasn't very sick and then he got really sick. And it's amazing how when you do a process, the external changes. So anyway, I'm passing him over to Carl, and then I'm just like feeling when I had to do that for Sidel, there came a time when I had to separate from her. And just like, even though I teach that pain's okay, I do not like it when my children are in pain. I do not like it at all. What mothers can relate? It like burns a fucking hole in my heart. But the phrase that I say to myself when I'm really triggered is stay. Stay until you burn everything down to the truth. And the truth that came in that moment, not because people are telling me, because people have been telling me this for a while, is it's time to let go. It's time to let go, and he's going to be okay. And then it was just like, and then I just like shook my hands, and then I just cried and cried and cried and cried and shook and shook and shook and shook. And then lay on the bed and integrated. Part of what came up, that I'm not going to go into too much detail of because I don't want to get too emotional, was the sexual abuse came into this. And my whole body was I was hyperventilating. Now, if I wasn't a practitioner that trusts the wisdom of the body, if I didn't know that, I'd be, am I being re-traumatized? You're not being re-traumatized when you're staying with the sensation and you're in your body. A client is going to be re-traumatized when you don't know how to integrate the experience and when you don't have the methods to bring into the activation phase that I'm teaching you throughout this manual that are deliberately designed to integrate as they're activating. So part of any process is often giving something back to your parents, or sharing something with a partner, or your father, or your mother. So you're all in Module 5, right? How many people have completed Module 5? Okay, some. So some of you will be familiar, some of you won't. But there's a practice in there where you give something back to your parents that doesn't belong to you. There's another practice where you aspect and you get to say everything to your parents. Now, part of my process is I was talking to Scott, but I was also talking to my father. I'm like, you're so fucking great when you're there, and what about when you're not there? And you just completely forget about him, and this and this and this and this. So I'm putting the anger where it belongs. It's not actually where the trigger started. It never is, right? And yeah, there's some relevance to that still somewhere that needs maybe a conversation or resolution. But the ability to go beyond the surface of the waves, grab your scuba gear and go underwater, that capacity that you have is the same capacity that you're going to bring to your client. So yesterday, when this beautiful woman came and she was feeling resistance, and I let her feel the resistance. Now, underneath the resistance is the emotions that you really need to feel. So then we got to her frustration. Then I would have got to her anger, and that would have been really fun. So I hope there's still an opportunity for that sometime. And it's where you feel, and close your eyes and remember this. It is where you feel most uncomfortable. That's where the gold is. The emotion that makes you feel most uncomfortable, not the one that makes you comfortable. For me, that's helplessness. Thanks for listening to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. For more great free resources, in-person and online workshops, and our retreats, find us on Instagram and Facebook at Embodied Awakening Academy or visit embodiedawakeningacademy.com.